Pretty much on sync that time. Pretty good.
Yeah.
Not usually that close.
No, I think I had it open for a while, so it wasn't hitching up.
Gotcha. Well, we're back to go berserk, as it were.
Yeah, volume 31, episode 29 of Kentaro Miura's masterpiece, I guess. I don't know if he worked on anything else, or if that Dreamcast game is the real masterpiece. But I haven't played it yet.
At some point you might figure out if it is.
Okay.
It sounds, I did a little more research on that. It sounds like Miura actually storyboarded like the story for that game and stuff. So it seems like it's pretty canon in the way something could be, where the creator put work into it in some regard.
There you go. Cross media experience. So
it's interesting. That's something we should do an episode on when you play it, maybe later on, obviously.
Okay. It's worth its own episode, hey?
Well, maybe just like games
happens.
in general, depending on how much there is to say, I guess.
But yeah, we're talking Berserk, and I don't know. I got notes here. I got a lot of quotes from this one. I just thought were fun. This
was an interesting one. This was kind of a boss battle volume, which was pretty sick, pretty cool overall. But yeah, it picks it up right after, like right as they were still trying to get to, oh my god, what's the dude's name?
Roderick's ship.
Roderick's ship, yeah, after killing the giant elephant Cthulhu thing. Another one of those.
Yeah.
After Guts has gone berserk or started to. I can't remember.
A little bit. He's been reining it in a little because you don't want to go too berserk, which is kind of what this is about. This volume.
Yeah.
But okay, so they're heading towards the boat. They're all excited, and then suddenly Shurika stops and says, "Whoa, hold on! I wasn't paying attention to the odd around here. There's an enormous mass.
There's
of wickedness.
Millions of things around."
Yeah, there's like a giant barge of monsters just over here. And then sure enough, yeah, there's so many familiar like goblins or whatever everywhere.
Yeah. My first note is galleons of monsters. So yeah.
I wasn't paying attention. We gotta stop. We're in trouble. So yeah, they're all kind of peering out from behind a barrel at like millions of creatures.
It's crazy.
And it's just like, there's probably gonna be like so many casters. I don't even know how we deal with this.
Yeah.
But then they get spotted, I guess, by another group that's coming up behind them. So it's kind of on, I guess. Like they just need to start fighting.
No, they sensed her going into magic realm or whatever. That's when they got spotted.
Is that what drew the attention?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right. So they're in a big city. So there's kind of concern that like, I don't know if you're going to be able to talk to any like powerful spirits here or anything. This is like an industrial, like urban center in this world, right?
But luckily there is one spirit that's hanging around.
There's one spirit, and it's like this kind of spirit of woe or whatever from all the people that have been burned to death here over this millennia.
Their element being like hellfire. I think it's like what they call it specifically. It's not just like flame. It's like the fire that is used by man to like kill others, essentially, like brought on by woe. The fire that burns down buildings and burns people at the stake and that whole sort of thing. And it's just like accompanied by these weird images of like in the flames, there's like skeletons screaming or something.
Like burnt, charred bodies and stuff.
Yeah.
Kind of reminded me of like when she first got there, she saw those like hanging people and was like, we got to deal with this, you know?
Similar for sure. Yeah.
Like just, executions and things that have happened in the city. So she's able to commune with the flame wheel. Wheel of flame. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
And I think she must have invoked this at some point. Like when she's trying to talk to this thing, she mentions like, oh, my experience in Enoch Village paid off when she talked to the water elemental or whatever.
Oh, right. Yeah.
Something about that sentence just made me think like, oh yeah, that's kind of what RPGs are trying to get at with like experience systems.
Your experience,
like, I have done something like this before, so now I can deal with this other thing that is kind of like that.
I felt the same way with that line too. Of just like, oh yeah, she leveled up. That's true.
Like, yeah, she leveled up back in Enoch, and now she can handle this flame wheel.
Yeah.
So that's cool.
I'm
she
guessing
learned a new spell.
I'm guessing it's a similar sensation of like just this really overwhelming power, like trying to take you over, essentially. Kind of like Guts would be. It would be nice if Guts would level up to the point where like maybe he doesn't get overwhelmed by his spirit that like takes him over, essentially.
Right, but he needs kind of like a buddy like buff or something in order to not do that in this one. So it's kind of neat.
Too intense.
Oh man. Okay, so this giant pinwheel of fire appears and just starts like roasting everything.
Like everything. Yeah.
Yeah. I could like right after they've torched like all thousands of familiars or whatever, it's just like this crazy chain attack that spreads all the way down the pier and has burned everything.
Yeah.
So somehow there's this exchange between like Isidro and I think Puck or something where it's just like, whoa, genocide. and Isidro's like, yeah. It's his response, but it's like, what? This is terrible. But it's just like, whatever. They're just monsters.
Yeah.
So I don't know. It was such a weird invocation of that word. But okay, so yeah. They toast all like the bipedal things, but then like 8 sea monsters appear. Like the giant tentacle like elephant thing we saw, there's like a bunch of those now.
Yeah.
So Guts has to like tap in to deal with this. And at this point, I guess, right, Shirka is still drained from the fire spell that just happened.
Yeah.
So she's being carried on his back, and then he goes into, like, beast form or whatever, and it somehow, like, grabs her ethereal form or whatever.
And, like sucks it spirit. In. Yeah.
Yeah. I was really thrown for a second, because there's just, like, 2 Shirka faces. I was like, what? What just happened? And it's just like, oh, she, like... left, like she's like astral projecting or something. She like left her body and is now in the beast world or whatever.
Yeah.
Sort of against her will, but she just happened to be too close or whatever, and it works out. So yeah. So
that's a thing that can happen. Like, what if it was like Casca hanging on to him? Would her ethereal being just be ripped out of her body? When that happens?
I don't know. It might be because she's tuned into the odd or something, or because she's a caster. I don't know.
Okay.
This is the first time I've ever seen this happen.
Yeah.
And like Shirka's kind of done this before on her own will to like go in there and talk to him.
Sure.
Like talk him down or whatever. So it's just I guess it's a proximity based thing too. I don't know.
Yeah.
But yeah, she kind of sees like in his cape or whatever, like the beast face starting to rise up. And goes, oh, and then whoop, and that's how it goes. And then he just starts slicing and dicing these things.
Yeah, for like the rest of like the chapter and a half or something. It's just panel after panel of him murdering shit, which is great, but also like, yeah, there's not much
I think I will say I was a bit like when all the sea monsters popped up, I was like, more of these things?
Yeah.
Like this is the 3rd time. Like, we've already fought 2 of these, and suddenly it's like, oh, okay, at least there's a bunch, so this is a bit more of a test. But this is, like, phase 1 of a thing, so it's okay. And Puck at one point says, a tuna dissection show in relation to what he's seeing with the chopping.
There's a lot of weird inside jokes going on, and Puckisms in this volume in general.
Yeah, there's at least 2 where the translation or whatever is just like, hey, this is like a really inside joke. Like it's like, this is what this means. This is why this
Puck's
is here.
On one in this, as the kids say.
Yeah, we'll get to a couple of those. I think I only wrote down 1 though. I forget what the other one was.
Yeah.
Anyway, so I guess it turns out there wasn't like 30 casters for all this. There's like 1 super wizard who was at the controls, and we met this guy briefly once.
This was
in
the
ship
super,
or whatever.
This was a super old guy smoking the hookah we talked about a few volumes ago.
And his name is Paramarisha Sanani Daiba.
Yes.
So, yeah.
Yeah.
He's got a beard and kind of, old wise man kind of guy, or yogi kind of guy, I guess, if you want to say.
Sure. Yogi.
From the Kushan Empire. Yeah. And he's been controlling all these sea monsters and stuff, and then he is intrigued by the ability to defeat them, I guess. He's kind of like, oh, interesting, some Western magic. Time to have a little battle, I guess. See how my skills are and learn a thing or two. Like, I kind of thought his attitude was fun. It was just kind of like, oh, cool, I haven't seen anything like that in a while. This is neat.
Yeah.
Let's throw down or whatever. So, what is the first phase of his attack here? Water spouts, right?
Yeah, I think, and then like it just gets more intense. I think it's like pretty low water, like 1 or 2 water spouts, and then it turns into like a storm later or something.
Like, yeah, Guts just kind of immediately tries to jump at him, and then like suddenly a spout appears and throws him up into the air.
Yes.
Really high up, to the point where it's like, oh man, Guts is gonna like fall to his death or something. That's really bad. But then he uses his sword to kind of redirect
the
his
wind
direction.
currents in the air. Yeah.
Yeah.
So silly.
Turning this like thing that happened into like this really powerful like downward stab attack at the ship.
Yeah.
Or whatever. So it's like, oh, cool. And I guess he was only able to do that because Shirka kind of got to him in the ethereal realm.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was kind of like, hey, pay more attention, you know? Like, you got to think a little more. Use your human brain.
Yeah.
And there's kind of some neat shots of like the shadow of the beast kind of shrouding all over him, but then his eye appears
where she's like
murk.
holding his head or whatever. It starts like kind of like,
yeah, she's almost like parting the darkness over that side of his face or whatever, and he's able to see and think as Guts, but also still have some high measure of his powers.
Yeah.
So, you know, pretty cool. I guess there was also a brief shot I liked where he does this like one of the goblins is trying to do like this downward sneak attack on him, and he just stabs up, and like blood is all over his face except his eye.
Yeah.
It was pretty good.
Yeah.
Pretty solid drawing.
Yeah. I did forget about that too. That part is pretty sick. Just throws the goblin and it like cuts in half into the crowd or something. Yeah, that's a good page, I guess.
And the yogi guy, like Power Marisha, kind of after the successfully redirecting and doing the downward attack, says like, "Oh, your tenacity is your fortune," which I thought was kind of cool.
That's a cool line. There's a lot of cool lines here actually, in this volume, and then just decides to do like 10 more spouts essentially.
Yeah, there's kind of just a big storm of stuff going on. I think at this point they've kind of gotten Serpico to get involved at least. So they try this like triple attack, right? Where it's like, I'll just go right at him, and then Serpico will be able to kind of flank him. Oh no, that's later. Well, that's after we've revealed what's going on with these water spouts.
Well, yeah. So the water spouts are he's still trying to attack Guts, who is obviously more in control of what he's doing because he's like dodging them instead of just going mindlessly at the dude. And
I'm gonna stab it. Yeah, he's not just rushing straight in trying to get the super hit.
It's hard to read, but I think he's like bouncing on the corpses of the elephant things around in the water.
Oh, to kind of like
to
jump
dodge
around and stuff.
Yeah, dodge
or bits of wrecked ship and whatever. He's kind of platforming around on barrels and things.
It's specifically that he starts attacking the group on the dock. That Guts jumps back in and uses his sword to like shield them, and that's when I think he's also like, "Hey, like, you're the wind guy. Like, you should be jumping, or you should be flying." What's the line? It's like, it's flying around
you're
your
the flying
thing,
guy.
Yeah,
yeah,
and
yeah, essentially,
it was just a cool moment because it's like, it's obviously showing the group too that he's not a mindless like psycho right now, so maybe they shouldn't be too afraid.
There was kind of some dialogue to the effect of just like, oh man, like once he's finished killing these things, he might kill us, and they're just kind of standing there scared.
Also, the worst Batman impression ever. Like, there's like the image of his helmet doesn't look like the wolf anymore fully. It's like the wolf face with his face underneath, and it just looks like a bad Batman to me, and I can't unsee it.
There was a bit in like the sort of halfway ethereal realm where it almost looked like he had ears or something too, like behind his head where Shirka was holding on. So yeah, I guess I glimpsed a little Batman looking business going on here.
Yeah.
I guess, yeah, because you can see a
his
big
face.
piece of his face. Yeah. I still thought the kind of one eye thing looked cool in this. He's like the one-eyed knight or whatever.
It's
in this
specifically
helmet.
seeing his jaw. That's the weird part, the Batman part to me. Yeah.
Hopefully Mira figured that out and
I'll put it as like
got away from that.
the podcast episode image or something. So if you're listening to this and you wanted to take a look at what I'm talking
about, just put like
about,
Burton's Batman logo or something. But yeah. Okay, wait. So, I guess it's during this kind of like negotiating, like between Shirka, Guts, and himself. There's a scene where the words are kind of doubled. I thought that was kind of cool. It was like, oh, it's kind of hard to hear in here or whatever. It's hard for this message to get through to Guts. Maybe was what it was doing. It was like doubled text.
Yeah, to get through the like anger, I guess, the berserk.
Yeah. Yeah.
To get through the berserk. Yeah.
And then one of Paramarisha's lines was just, "You cut my water spout," which I enjoyed. I was reading it in a "you sunk my battleship" kind of way.
Okay. Yeah, that's pretty good. I didn't catch that one.
Well, like, because like in general, it's like, what are you going to do? You can't like cut water, which becomes part of the battle, like when it levels up to the second form or whatever.
Yeah.
Which is, I guess, we're pretty much there. It's where like the word Undine is getting thrown around a lot.
Yeah.
Which I hadn't really heard since I played like Golden Sun or something. I haven't seen a lot of Undine in my day to day, so that was kind of novel. But it's Kundalini. It's like a super serpent. It's drawn really strange. It's like just textured totally different than everything else. I was really confused what I was looking at for a while. Almost now that I'm talking about it, it would be kind of like how you would draw the weird alien waterspout thing and like the abyss, you know? Like that kind of sentient water tendril.
Or like Chaos in Sonic games or something.
Sure. Like just living water kind of thing.
But like rounded water, not like currents.
Kind of like a big worm.
Yeah.
And it has kind of discernible eyes and whatever, but it's very kind of weird, formless shape. And it's like coiling around the ship and stuff. And Pamarisha is kind of mocking, like, just like, what are you going to do, cut water? Like, you guys are toast. Might as well be sacrifices to this god I just communed with or whatever. Like, he's my buddy. Yeah. So it seems bad, I guess, for our heroes.
Yeah.
But yeah, like they're all still kind of telecommunicating with each other. So Shirka kind of has a moment where it's just like, "Look, please," which I thought was kind of fun. Where it's just like, I've noticed something about this creature's weakness. So Serpico and Guts kind of have to pay attention, and there's a tiny serpent within the body of the giant serpent. So it's sort of like a projection.
Right.
She also compares it to the Kelpie they've dealt with before, as being on the same kind of plane or whatever, like same element.
Same power level or something.
Yeah, it's like this is like a more powerful version. This is almost a godlike level of the same sort of creature type or whatever. It's a more powerful water Pokemon, if you will.
Sure.
I guess. And somewhere in here is where we get our like author's note Nova multilingual school explanation.
Yeah, there's some interesting stuff where the wizard is like telecommunicating with, I'm guessing, everything in the area. But okay, another thing we didn't really mention because it wasn't pertinent until right now is that he's been talking, but nobody understood what the fuck he was saying except us, the reader, because we need to know.
Oh yeah, that's right. There's several scenes where it's just like, I think he's saying something, and then it's just like, I don't know the Kushan language though.
Yeah.
So yeah.
So for like them, they're just hearing him speak in his language or whatever. But this moment in their head, they're understanding like what he's saying, and it's just like basically like just kill yourself, be sacrifices to my god. Like, he's just taunting them or whatever, but they all understand now because it's in their head. And the inside joke is that Puck transforms himself into the logo for Novo, which is a multi-language school or something in Japan.
Yeah, like apparently a popular enough thing in Japan for it to be like, oh, of course, the Nova School mascot. But the mascot, there's like no way for this joke to make sense without like just being like, all right, there's this school and this is why. But yeah, you're right. The telepathy is universal language or something. Like everybody gets it.
Yeah,
and I guess you're right. The surprise of like, whoa, is also like, oh, it's the first time we're hearing this guy. Because he's just been kind of muttering to himself this whole time for our benefit.
Which makes sense. You wouldn't be able like if he's actually throwing water around and there's all these wind gusts and stuff, you totally wouldn't be able to hear him talk at a decently normal volume. So that makes sense. Yeah. So
this is where the kind of triple pronged attack thing I was saying happens. Like Guts kind of goes right at him, and then Serpico was able to flank him and is up on the mast of the ship and goes for kind of like the, you know, in Zelda, when you have like a full hearts, you can shoot a beam or whatever. It's like his wind attack.
Right.
Like slash of the sword and then a thing comes out. But dude like ducks down into the worm, like into the water to dodge it, which I thought was kind of cool. And then after emerging later, he's just like, yeah, if need be, I can rely on my yoga powers and not breathe for a while.
Yeah. For
how are you going to deal with that?
Yeah, this fight is awesome. There's so many cool things. Like at some point, I think even how it starts is that they see him floating in front of the
ship,
ship's mast or whatever, and like, yeah, everything about this is like so neat. It would be so cool to see on a big screen or like playing a game or something.
Yeah, there was definitely some stuff in this volume that was just like, wow, this is like Industrial Light and Magic, like crazy big spectacle business going on right here.
Yeah.
Especially some stuff at the end, which I didn't even write a note for. It's just like, man, that was some stuff. But
yeah, we'll
it's
definitely
just
get
all
there.
action, so we'll talk about it.
Another thing I thought was cool was we've talked about before how everybody's like, oh my god, Guts is so cool, and every time there's somebody on screen or in the panel that is seeing Guts,
someone needs to be remarking.
They have to be remarking how cool he is. Well, there's not a lot of magic users in this world, but there is one, and she is remarking at how like powerful this guy must be, because he's able to basically snap his fingers, and something that would take her like moments to actually like conjure or do, he can do instantly or whatever. And you're just like, okay, this dude's actually no joke. And I know that now because this magic user who I think is strong is like, oh no, he's gonna fuck us if like we're not careful.
Like, yeah, there's initial confusion as to how he's able to so instantly make these water spouts happen, but then it turns out it's because he's already working with the Kualini or whatever, like the Undine power. Like all of that stuff was basically the creature doing that. It was summoning water spouts, and they're just kind of in sync or whatever.
Right.
I think I just remembered something I kind of jumped over though.
Okay.
Sorry, just give me a second.
Yeah, no, it's fine.
Like we were just talking about Shirka and her noticing something. Oh my goodness. Well, whatever. We'll move on, and I'll hopefully remember.
Was it about Shirka herself? Like, or was it something to do with magic? Because there's a lot more weird magic stuff going on, basically right where we're at, where Guts has an idea of like him using her using him as like a conduit for spiritual energy to flow through him for like some super attack or something. She's like, this is stupid. We're gonna die.
Oh, no, it's just we kind of glossed over like that initial wave of sea monsters or whatever. There was a moment where Guts got like super chomped, like directly bitten by one of these giant beasts or whatever, and kind of spewed blood out of his face, like out of his mouth. Which seemed like a real bad injury. So we might see the aftermath of that in a bit.
There's been a few times where they're just like, this is going to be bad tomorrow, and they're like all commenting on like, I think Guts even at one point is like, I'm really
Guts
gonna
even
feel
says
this
that.
one tomorrow or
Yeah,
something.
he like parries a mast or something, and it's just like every muscle I have is gonna ache tomorrow.
Yeah.
Like after he did that.
That's right. Yeah.
But that's also the moment everybody realizes, like, whoa, wait a minute, the Berserker, like, saved us. So what's up with that? And then they kind of see that his eye is out and he can talk to them.
They see that he's Batman and not the wolf. So.
Yeah, he's not full-on beast.
Yeah.
Sorry. There's a character later that gives this thing a nickname that I thought was great.
Yeah.
Which we'll bring up, I guess. But, okay, so, yeah, this is where the triple attack happens. Guts is kind of going straight at him, occupying all of his attention. Serpico does this thing, and then he's like, haha, I dodged it. But then Isidro hits him with a bomb. So they were able to at least land a hit on the actual caster, and he's sort of pissed about it. It's just like, way to respect your elders or whatever, and he's kind of fallen. So, yeah, that's the first kind of hit they manage.
Yeah, but, I mean... We're glossing over a little bit. The attack that they do to take his attention away long enough that he's able to get that hit is summoning the flame wheel thing through his sword into like a laser beam or something.
Oh no, that's the one that kills the Kualini or whatever. Like that's the ultimate like team up move. Like the what do you call it in Chrono Trigger when you do like a double tech or whatever, like two characters team up? It's basically that.
Yeah.
Which I thought was like initially going into it, it was like, I don't know, like a fire spirit versus pure water. That usually doesn't do anything. But it's what they have. So they like superheat the sword.
Yeah.
And he's doing one like super attack or whatever with the sword straight at the center or whatever, like at the snake. And I guess they just get it. I think Power Marisha or whatever is like, I didn't think you would do something that would harm yourself that much kind of thing. Like it's like
he
how
used
dumb like
a
persona attack that takes like 700 HP or something off yourself in order to do it. It's just like, didn't think you'd do that. That's really stupid. He literally says like, you just took years off your life, and Guts says whatever. Like, it's yeah, whatever.
It's a cool moment though, because like I think even like doesn't Shirka's body, who's like being held by Casca or something, like explode with energy too a little bit? There's like a panel where her body
she's kind of like heating up and stuff. Yeah, they drop her because she's too hot from all this fire energy.
Yeah. I don't know. I thought that part was so fucking cool. I really, really liked that a lot.
I was wondering what was going to go on. Like, it's just like, is the sword so hot it evaporates all the water, so it's able to just get right to the heart of it or whatever? They talk about this thing like it is as thick as like a river, so you can't just kind of hit into it. It's too big. So somehow this is enough to just pierce right through. And if you look, you can see that like the snake's head has been chopped off, so it loses all of its power. Right. We didn't talk about like how Paramarisha survives this. He has like a pterodactyl or something he can just jump on.
Yeah.
Earlier, he also did a pretty cool evasive move that I had to look at again because I wasn't sure what happened. He kind of like sticks his arm into the spout and just gets sucked up it like a like a hurricane or something. Like he's just immediately not there anymore.
Or like when you see the pirates like cut a rope holding up like a stern or a mast or something, and they just like grab the other side and fly up real quick.
I guess so. Yeah,
something
the way
like that.
Jack Sparrow might quickly appear at the top of a ship or something. Also, the ship gets cut in half.
Yeah.
During all of this.
That makes sense.
So, yeah. But yeah, Power Marisha is kind of bested, and he's just like, well, I guess I'll hopefully be able to battle again and marshal my forces. And then suddenly like Ganishka's face just appears and he's super pissed off that this has failed.
Yeah.
And he just starts he's just this crazy giant electric face this time, blasting energy everywhere. So
yeah, he's just like a lightning storm or something personified in the sky in some way.
Like, you remember at the end of Ang Lee's Hulk when Nick
Yep.
Nolte turns into a giant cloud thing?
I do.
It's sort of like a more coherent version of that.
And definitely
where
way
you
cooler.
can tell what's happening, and and it's like a big beard face. Like, you get some kind of Deku Tree kind of looking thing going on still. So it's pretty good.
Yeah.
But he's like just chastising his wizard or whatever and like electrocuting him.
Yeah.
Like, I was like, is he gonna die? But it's just like, I don't think so. He's too powerful for that. But he's getting zapped and kind of prodded. And then Ganishka kind of starts threatening the party, but first he tries to kind of make a deal, which I thought was fun. This is where a lot of clarification as to who these characters are to each other happens.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah. This was cool. This is also where he calls him Beast Face. First of all.
Yes. This is where he uses a word that translates to beast face, which I think is a great name for this form.
Veravadana or something. Yeah.
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 Oh, wait, I think I wrote that down too.
Beast Face or Beast Mask, depending, I guess, on the translation.
Oh, yeah, there was some other verbiage being thrown around to describe what's up with his armor. Like, Paramarisha says, like, you're cloaked in, like, the prana of Durga. And it's like, what?
Well, Durga's he's Indian god. So,
okay.
Prana might be armor or whatever.
Yeah, he's kind of referring to the armor, and then Ganishka is the one that notices the brand. He's trying to, like, make sense of what it is with Guts' power. Because it's like, are you just a human, or are you this? What?
Prana's a yoga thing.
Okay.
Yeah, there's a lot of East Indian things that I thought are cool. Do you know what dosha are?
No.
So there's a what is it, a term or something? A thing called Ayurveda, and in it is a bunch of doshas, and those doshas are kind of like the blueprint of how you are or act as a person, and they're based on like different traits that certain people have, and like kind of how they act and like think. It's everything. It's like how they think about things, how they deal with like stress and anxiety, how they should eat to like be healthy and stuff like that. And it's based on like, are you kind of like more earth-like? Are you fire-like, water-like, etc.? It's okay. And they use those terms like that to like the main dude, when he's like fighting Serpico or whatever, says something about like a Vadi or something, and that's like a wind type dosha. So I'm guessing that's kind of where like that comes from, is like, oh wow, this is like they actually took real things and kind of mixed it in an interesting way here.
Right, it's kind of like East and West kind of describing the other's magic in their terms.
Yeah.
So, yeah. This kind of, it sounds like kind of like the humors or something. Or
yes.
Like this is like your predisposition as a person, like metaphors. But in this case, it is a wind spirit.
Yeah.
Whatever. So, yeah.
It's just cool that they use so many actual things. So I wonder if like, is his armor based on this actual god? I don't know like anything about Durga.
That's what I was wondering, is like, oh, is he actually describing like he knows this lore or something behind the armor and what this beast is or whatever? But I don't know. We only really got one side of that.
The word Durga literally means impassable, invincible, unassailable, and is related to the word Durg, which means fortress or something difficult to defeat or pass. And that is the major Hindu goddess, worshipped as a principal aspect of the mother goddess, associated with protection, strength, motherhood, destruction, and wars.
Okay.
So, yeah.
So he's cloaked in a fortress, I guess.
It totally makes sense, honestly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But okay, so this was kind of fun because when the party first saw Ganishka's face at the banquet, they assumed he was with Griffith.
Right.
Like Guts was kind of like, oh, a powerful apostle. He must be one of Griffith's cronies. And then when Ganishka sees them, it's like, pretty powerful guy. You must be one of the Hawks captains. And then Guts is all offended about that. But it's just like, you kind of each assumed the same thing about the other.
Yeah.
Just because you're powerful.
It's like, oh, really? We should be friends, apparently.
Yeah, like there's this moment where it's sort of degrading, though, the way he pitches it. Is where I think he loses them.
Yeah.
Like, it's not like, you are my equal, we shall team up and fight Griffith. It's like, you're pretty good. Do you want to work for me? You'll be my underling then. How about that? What a great honor for you. And then Guts is kind of like, screw you. Like, no, I don't have time for that.
Yeah.
Kind of thing. Like, he rejects the offer.
You know what's interesting about this, too, is that he doesn't know that Griffith is the thing Guts hates. He knows that Guts is branded, and he's like, well, Griffith, like, is leading every branded, or every demon that would have branded you, so if you follow me, eventually we'll get to the one that branded you, or whatever, probably.
Oh, you're saying he's kind of deducing what the score is here?
Yeah, because he doesn't know that Guts is, like, Guts, like, that he was branded by Griffith.
I thought it was kind of funny that Ganishka says, like, I am the arch enemy of Griffith, and I shall fight him. And it's like, you're talking to the actual arch enemy of Griffith.
Yeah.
So, all right. But,
yeah,
confidence or something. He's just,
I do think it's important to say,
guy.
too, that this conversation doesn't happen until he tries to one-shot kill him, as to put it in video game terms.
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
No, there's several evasive things that happen. Like, first, Serpico's able to cut a hole in this, like, giant electric spell that just happened.
Yeah, I couldn't understand what happened there. I guess his cloak did some wind shit.
His wind kind of carved out a little hollow or something. I think they said it carved a hollow in the spell. So he survives that one. I think he just takes a hit early and is just okay, but he's kind of crumpled a bit.
Yeah.
And then the third one, he uses his sword as kind of like what do you call it?
Like a ground or something?
Like a lightning rod.
Yeah.
To kind of deflect all of the electricity into the ship or whatever, so it kind of misses him. He hides under the sword, basically.
That shit's so dope. That's so cool.
Yeah. And Ganesha's kind of impressed by, like, wow, you're like, for a mere human, you sure survived some crazy stuff.
Yeah.
So that all happens, and then suddenly Zod is there. Like, just wrecking things. Like, I just turned a page and I was like, oh my gosh, all right, I guess the siege from Griffith's forces is just gonna happen now. And like, all these crazy monsters just start flying over. So like, Guts said, I don't have time for you, and then Ganishka essentially like, I don't have time for this either. Like, there's some stuff going on.
Yeah.
So then, yeah. And this was just where it's like, oh my gosh, what a crazy kaiju battle is happening here with just, like, monsters in the sky. Like,
yeah.
Zod just goes full reckless, like, crashes right through Ganishka, like, plunges through this electric cloud.
Multiple times. And every time he looks fucked up after. He's like, or whatever.
I'm being so electrocuted right now. And I was like, is this it? Is this it for Zod? Like, what a dumb move. But he just keeps going for it. And weird insect demons start descending on everything. Like, I guess I was getting a little bored with, like, the sea monster design several times.
Yeah.
It was like, we're seeing this thing again. Then suddenly, like, a multiple nippled, like, caterpillar demon or something is flying around. It's like, there you go. There it is.
It did make me realize, like, oh, in the battle of, like, fashion, Griffith's army is the best, because that's, like,
so much variety.
You could literally do anything, and that's a demon, where all of these familiars kind of have, like, a set of rules to them or something, because they're made of flesh.
Yeah, it's just like, oh, there's a bunch of alligator men, there's a bunch of tiger monsters, you know, like, they're kind of uniform, whereas this is just chaotic, like, hell opened or whatever.
Yeah,
he does kind of throw a insult at them too. It's like, oh, the moths that have gathered around the Hawk's light or whatever. Like,
I thought that was sick. That is very cool.
Make fun of these insects or whatever. So
yeah.
We
find out pretty soon thereafter that the reason why they're all throwing themselves into it is that they disperse the form of the electrical cloud, essentially, enough that he's kind of just like a misshapen blob with eyes.
Oh, okay. I guess this is all a projection or something of the real Ganishka. He's not present. He's just doing some crazy long distance magic or something.
I assume so, but like, yeah, they've been dispersing his form into like just a blob, and that's kind of
just by rushing insects into it. Yeah. I guess, yeah, it ends kind of mid craziness with Zod just flying around, still doing things, right?
No, it ends with Zod knocking him, getting hit, a big hit, and then hitting him and Guts into the water off the boat.
Okay.
So, you know.
So who knows what's going to happen? Although Guts was kind of at one point in the water after the big fire spell, and he's like, this is great, actually. Like, I need to cool down. So.
Yeah, and it's weird because another time earlier than that, I think Serpico's like, if he's in the water, like his armor's going to kill him because he can't get out.
Like he'll drown or something.
So I don't know what the rules are for this.
Apparently it's okay. Maybe as long as Guts is like cognizant enough, he will swim. Right. Whereas like if he wasn't, he would just sink like a stone and screw up. But I don't know. Yeah. Right. And at some point in here, we get the tidbit that Oni hate belly buttons. They rip them out.
Right.
Navels.
Right,
so
because...
I forget why this comes up. Oh, some insult.
It's because Ganishka's form looks like an Oni, and they are scared of it, I guess. This is when Ganishka's form goes from just, like, the weird face in the clouds, like you said, and he gets his, like, demon look with the weird gnashing teeth of electricity.
Big teeth and everything. Yeah, okay. And then, yeah, there's some dig about Onis.
Yeah.
So, yeah, which made me consider, like, oh, there's that whole series of games called Oni Musha. Is that about this somehow? I haven't played those in a long time.
No. It's not about this at all, but it's about its
not
own
about
weird
similar monsters?
Shit. No.
All right.
The last important thing is, and, like, this was probably, like, you would have assumed this. He doesn't take the offer. Like, Guts is not working with him.
Right. He said the kind of... I don't have time for this sort of thing. And then that doesn't go well for... Well, he survives. So it went okay, considering who he was arguing with. But yeah.
He literally says, go flash your lights somewhere else. They're a nuisance, Thunderman, to him.
He does say Thunderman. It's true.
I thought that was important enough that it had to be called out.
Yeah, I thought there could have been a weird, like... you know, Xavier and Magneto work together sometimes.
I thought so too.
Sort of thing. But it's like, nah, Guts doesn't truck with monsters. So that's just how it is.
Yeah.
And we'll find out what goes on with this crazy demon siege next time. I think that it's like the invasion of the demon army or something was... And we're still in the Millennium Falcon arc.
We are.
I guess.
Yeah.
All right.
I'm guessing this arc is going to end with him ruling over everything,
establishing some manner of empire.
Yes.
I guess.
Yeah.
Like I'm assuming Ganishka is going to lose. Like I'm just going to assume that. And the Kushan region anyway will probably be under Griffith's control.
Right, which means that everything will be, because people still like Griffith. They don't know what happened.
You're right. Yeah, he's still kind of like, oh, that legendary guy. He's great. Midland loves Griffith. Yeah. They didn't see this happen. So.
The only people that saw it happen are dead or Casca and Guts.
Yeah, it was. I guess it was kind of unfortunate because there's at least a little thinking of just like, oh, someone else is defying the God Hand. That's kind of dope. Nah, you know, like there's no meeting in the middle with Ganishka and Guts.
Yeah,
it's just like they're both impressed by the other's like stubbornness or whatever, but then they just can't come to terms. So.
I do wonder, though, like, there's no way Griffith right now is as powerful as he was as Femto, right? Like, there has to be a balancing act of, well, now that you're ethereal and human again, you can't, like, just make things around you die by being in their presence.
I don't know that we've seen him himself do anything too nutty, right?
He just controls a bunch of, like, he has...
Yeah, he has tons of powerful minions, and like Zod is at his command.
His power is like he has powerful dudes working for him currently.
Right. Even when they stole like Charlotte or whatever, it was Zod flying around. Mm-hmm. It wasn't him doing some crazy magic. So, yeah, I guess his power level is unknown at this time.
Yeah.
We'll have to. What is that thing from Dragon Ball that you use to detect powers?
I don't remember. Dragon Ball's garbage, so I don't care.
I don't read it either, but it's popular.
No,
anime,
it's not
mangas.
It's not garbage, but I just can't remember.
Yeah.
It's kind of garbage.
It's got to be what it is. Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's this week's discussion. Anyway, do we have any queries coming in?
We do not for this week. No.
Dang it.
It kind of makes sense.
Okay.
The last volume, there wasn't a whole lot of like jumping off points for discussion. This is kind of the one that's like, all right, things are happening again. We're back in.
It was a lot of fighting though. Like I don't know that there was a choice or a thing.
This one?
I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, I guess my question will be, if anybody wants to write in with their opinion, what do you think? Do you think Griffith does have like crazy powers, or is he just like going to be the leader of demons sort of thing? I'm sure he has some, but
like Damien in the Omen, does he have like powers, or is it just Satan is,
or is it like he's a conduit for like influence from Satan or something?
Yeah.
I
don't know. I guess we'll find out.
Because Femto doesn't exist currently, right? Like, there's no Femto behind the scenes. He was reborn as Griffith in this world, from what I assume.
Well, now I just don't understand. I'm trying to think what this means. Like, when Jesus was here on Earth,
oh no,
was he not in heaven or whatever? Like, the Godhead was down one for a while there for 30 years in the timeline. I don't know. This is the lore I know, right? Is the Hebrew Christian Bible. So
sure.
I'm trying to think what this would mean. Sure, okay.
The reason I bring it up is because Slan, we saw, doesn't exist in this world. She had to like make an avatar of Guts to like talk.
Yeah, that's right.
And try to seduce Guts or whatever. So she was easily dispatched of. Well, I guess not easily, but she was dispatched of kind of easily because she wasn't her full strength, because she can't be, because she is in another realm, essentially.
Yeah, it was kind of like a weird, like a body horror hologram or something appearing over here.
So
projection or something.
Because like the only time they can come over is during the eclipse, right? That's when they can actually make the move.
Appear here.
Yeah. Which is why that's when they come with Femto or whatever. And then Femto was born from Griffith's sacrifice at that time.
Well, just to compare him more to Jesus, like Jesus still has powers, but
yeah,
he can turn water into wine and stuff. So we'll just need to see some miracles from Griffith before we grant him sainthood, I guess.
Well, we saw him like put souls to rest or something. The ones that like danced around that night.
Oh yeah. So I wonder what happened to those souls, though.
Yeah,
I'm not sure they're doing okay.
You were talking about centipede boob lady. That's probably one of them right there.
Oh yeah, transforming them into weird creatures.
Every boob is a soul.
Wow, there's a lot on that thing. It was weird.
It's a lot of souls.
Yeah, like there's the mirror. I know. I knew he was still here. But yeah. But okay, if you want to send in some questions, though, it's ihavegoneberserk@gmail.com.
Yeah.
And I guess, that's kind of the tall and short of it for this one.
Yeah. Any predictions going forward? Do you think we see Griffith in the next volume? That's probably the easiest one to say yes or no to. I'm going to say yes. I think he makes an appearance. I don't know if he fights.
don't know if he'll be part of this invading army, though, or if it's just like, go deal with that, like go. But there, at some point there's going to have to be a clash between Ganishka and him, right? I would assume that's what's going to happen.
Yeah.
It would be weird if like Guts takes care of Ganishka. That's not his fight. So I would assume, Griffith has to appear. It's the Millennium Falcon arc after all.
Yeah,
I need him in there.
I think the next one. Specifically 32. So we'll see if I'm right, I guess, on that.
What was your favorite Casca line in this one? Was it
it was when she was growling.
Yeah, she was kind of upset that Guts was wearing the armor or something. Like
makes sense.
There was a moment there.
Yeah.
I mean, she's still scared of him, so.
I mean, I would be too with him with that armor on after seeing what he can do. Good Lord.
Yeah. But he toned it down. He kept it in check again, so hopefully.
Yeah, he leveled up. Safe. And so did Shirke, so her being like part of him definitely helped, I'm sure.
Which is Isidro get some experience for the bomb hit?
Yeah, probably.
Okay.
He saw an opening and he took it. You got to give it to the kid. He's got spunk.
And he's got a fire dagger in this like crazy water battle, so he was not at a good advantage there.
There was a pretty good moment with the fire wheel where salamanders were jumping off of his dagger, and he's like, "Where are you guys going?" or something like that, because they were being summoned to the wheel.
That we didn't talk much about that wheel, but that was a pretty cool like fire vortex black hole thing that was just wrecking everything. So
just killed like thousands of goblins down the pier.
Yeah, this was a big budget volume right here. If you were to make this into a movie or an anime, this is an expensive episode.
This is the one. This is the one that you saved up for. It was cool. It was very, very cool.
Lot of post production. But anyway, thanks for joining us, and keep berserking. I don't know if we have it yet, but
it's never gonna be not weird. But yeah, keep on berserking. We'll see you next time.